Alright, so this is my current event presentation. I chose to use my second paper. I just feel like it was better quality. So, the article that I chose to discuss, I found it on an article database just because I wanted to find something current as possible and it was making my search easier. It was titled Gender Roles Don't Equal Gender Stereotypes. Um, so the author, Rachel Fraser, I hope that's how I pronounce it, she explains the difference between gender roles and gender stereotypes and why it's important to show this distinction. The whole context of the article was the fact that Target, the whole corporation Target, decided that they were going to stop using gendered advertisements and displays for toys and things like that. So instead of having like pink back paneling against certain toys meant for girls, it's going to be a neutral color. So I thought that was really cool. So when I read that, I thought that was interesting. And then I read the rest and I was like, this is perfect. Um, so she really explains the difference between those two terms and why it's so crucial to how like kids grow up and how we identify later on in life. So she really goes into the difference, and she says, quote from the article, a gender role is the identity God naturally gives a person when they are created. Their chemical makeup, instincts, and spiritual callings point to this. A gender stereotype is a societal idea where a generalization must fit all parties of a collective group. So I agree partly with that statement. She, I would say that it's not really, gender role is not really biological to me. I feel like gender role is also kind of determined by society, but I mean, I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. But it, in terms of like the Target situation, many parents were like really happy that their kids wouldn't have to face gendered toy aisles while shopping, but there were other parents that were really upset. One parent was quoted as saying, boys and girls are different and distinct from one another in complex, concrete, and important ways. What really bothered me about that was using the term concrete. I don't think that gender roles or gender anything is really concrete. It's more of a societal interpretation of things. So I don't know. I think this really relates to this whole idea relates to chapter 1 and chapter 7 of the textbook. So chapter 1 went into detail about the difference in sex and gender and how it connects to communication and culture. So obviously it fits. And then chapter 7 discussed ideas of gendered toys and clothes and like things like bedding and things like that. So I think they both really connect well with this article. Both discuss in essence the difference between biology and society. So it with chapter 1, it really went into detail. Hold on, let me grab my book so I can sound a little more intelligent about this subject. So the book is quoted as saying, sex, female or male, is a designation based on biology, whereas gender, feminine or masculine, is socially constructed and expressed. So both the article and the textbook are saying that biology is separate from society. So it makes a pretty clear distinction. And then the whole gendered toys and clothes thing with chapter 7 is, hold on, let me turn there. Sorry. There we are. So it's really impactful on young kids to have gendered things like that. So like even today, well, I notice it more today than I did when I was little. But when I was younger, I would go into the toy aisles at like Walmart or Toys R Us. Rip Toys R Us. um, I would go in there and I would see that like the aisles with all the dolls and the doll houses and things like that were generally like pink themed, pink and purple. Not really much blue, not really much anything else. And then the boys' aisle would be like reds and blues and like darker colors, if that makes sense. And girls were more pastel. So it was kind of, even in that distinction, you automatically think, okay, girls are associated with pretty pink and purple, and boys are associated with a little more harsh colors like dark blue, dark red, and things like that. So it's really impactful on young kids, and I think that the author of the article was really trying to point that out and say that, okay, this is something that's crucial that we need to realize there's a difference in. It's not all the same thing. So honestly, I don't fully agree with her statement, as I said before, but I understand where she's coming from in that sense. Gender roles, in her mind, are the biology of things, but I feel like a better term for that would be sex versus gender rather than gender roles versus gender stereotypes, because I think they're kind of hand in hand, gender roles and gender stereotypes. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's just how I felt when I read it. But I did like the article and I thought it was really well written. And I'm going to leave a link with the article for the article in the text when I submit the video. So just so you guys know, check it out if you want to. All right, that's it. Thanks.